The other day, I dead ass met a hypochondriac. Is that a word? Hypochondriac. And I asked him if he wanted to die. Well, this was mainly because his nurse told me not to tell him that. And because I'm like, I don't give a fuck. But his nurse told me not to tell him that he had animal fat suspended in his blood after his blood draw. And I'm like, wait, are you fucking serious? Like, yeah, I'm gonna fucking tell him this shit. Like, he needs to stop eating so much dairy and so many fucking french fries. You can see it suspended in your blood. And as a phlebotomist or research assistant, I've been a research assistant for the last 6 years and a phlebotomist for the last 2 because now clinical trials are getting more complex. Anyway, in order to do research, I have to like draw your blood sometimes. So if your blood looks like strawberry milk, Jesus Christ, my heart's racing. I can't. Anyway, welcome to Center of the Sun. I am your host at Natural Devon on Twitter. And I asked that man flat out, do you want to die? Well, not flat out, I guess. But when someone loudly proclaims over and over again, I'm going to die, and when clearly you are a young, healthy, HIV negative black man, sir, you're not going to die unless you want to die, in which case I need to inform your doctor, honey. And he yelled back pretty quickly with a firm ass no and a confused look on his face. Like, okay, then, like, we'll stop saying you're going to fucking die. Then I won't ask you flat out, do you want to die? Because you're not about to die. Like, there's nothing, like, stop saying it. Don't say things that are not true. And his nurse was shocked too. But she'll be the one dealing with his frantic ass, anxious ass phone calls. Sorry, dude, if you hear this. But like, girl, what? Like, come on. And I was like, okay, then stop speaking into existence death. And that was the reason, why I told him that I asked him if he wanted to die. Because I'm like, if you don't want to die, then stop saying it out loud. Duh. You speak life, On the news, CBS in the morning with Gayle King. Hey, Gayle. With Gayle King, they had this old ass man who was 97 bagging groceries. And I'm like, wait, after all, it is a privilege to be a human. Like, these old ass people are so happy to be alive. And I was like, yeah, you want to be 110. You don't want to be talking about I'm going to die. Am I going to die? No, you're 27 and you want to be 110. So you should probably start acting like it. But on CBS News, there's this little old white man bagging groceries. He started 17 years ago, so he was 80, and he was on the news with his strong ass hands. He was so short and cute, but it just indicated to me how resilient the fucking body is. And it's probably more so good genes anyway. That's why I plan on living to 110, because I'm like, I just got the good genes. It don't matter, even though I have high blood pressure right now. Hopefully I can live forever. But you should start acting like you want to live forever, even if it's not possible or whatever. Like, don't say you're going to die, especially if you're at a doctor's office with like people that are evaluating your health acutely, like aware of everything that changes with your body. Don't say you're going to die. Like, don't be a fucking asshole. And actually, if you know anything about dying, as a research assistant who works in a infectious diseases research unit, dying is kind of hard to do for the everyday being. Like, of course people die every day, but it's just like, it's actually kind of hard to do given all the circumstances. So basically what I'm trying to get at is that I've seen people with no immune system bounce back, to life. So buck up. Luckily, long story short, I have built a rapport with my patients. So when I ask them hard questions like, do you want to fucking die? They know it doesn't come from a place of malice and that I'm probably about to say something, illuminating groundbreaking. But he left the appointment saying that I was a good man. He actually thanked me on his way out. Because, number one, I already knew that. Thank you. Thank you for listening. This is Center of the Sun. I'm a good man and I'm the best. Duh. But, no, I'm just playing. But my hope was that he left my clinic with a better understanding of the power of his own voice. That's why I chose podcasts. Very deliberate over video. Because I could do video. I'm cute enough for video. First of all, I don't have a camera. And second of all, I don't want to do video. Because my entire life, I've been singing and using microphones, like podcasting. And guess who bought a MacBook in 2006 with the help of his mother and with his own money from Arby's? This guy. And guess who started listening to podcasts in 2006? Like, this has been my shit. I love podcasts. But before podcasts were even popular, before anyone even knew what a podcast was, before anyone even knew how to make a podcast, they were all music anyway. But they were like, if you went down, like, that's how I got introduced to being gay. In the Mix with Trent. It was my first podcast I ever listened to. It was just really bad. Well, it wasn't bad, but it was like, you couldn't. It was illegal. Like, what he did with music back then, it would be illegal right now. Because Janet Jackson, I don't think, plays any games. But he played, like, old school music that he liked. And in the middle of all of it, it was a mix. Because that's the original purpose of podcasts, was music mixing. But now there's, like, whole shows. That's why I keep music in the background. Because it's, like, supposed to be about music. And I just don't have the time to, like... I write music for myself, and then I don't want to have to engineer music for the show. Well, I do engineer music for the show, but I don't want to engineer individual songs. Anyway, long story short, In the Mix with Trent was my first podcast that I listened to in 2006, so I love podcasts. And over the years, I've learned that the power of the voice is something we should be promoting. And video is great, but video's for dummies. Like it's to keep your attention. It's because we can't keep your attention with just voice. But the problem is not, God damn it. The problem is not that Gatorade bottles are lining your desk, but the problem is that the content is subpar. So that's why we're here with Center of the Sun with grade A content. We're just trying to understand the world. I'm making a show that I want to hear. Okay? So thank you for listening, because you're like me, and we're going to learn some shit today. And we're going to live to 110 because we have all the tools and all the information. And if we don't live to 110, we can at least, when we go on to glory, we'll be prepared, So we won't have any surprises. I don't want any surprises. I hate surprises. Anyway. The point of the story is that I wanted him to understand that he should speak life over his existence. It's a privilege to be a human. And he left the appointment thanking me. But I wanted him to understand the power of his own voice. Your vocal cords literally make sound because they vibrate. Are you starting to catch my drift these days? We're still going to talk about science today. Oh my God, we're talking about science today. Like, I forgot the original. So I went back and listened to some of the original, because I've been looking at different sources of funding, for the show. And I just keep coming back to my own. It's not that expensive to host a media, to pay for a media host. So I'm like, if I can swing it on my own, I'm not like in sub-Saharan Africa. I don't really need Google to come in and fund me. But it'd be nice, but I'm just like, I kind of like my job. And, and I watched their webinar. I'm like, so like we're making, like, I have to prove to you that like I'm worthy of like getting your little, 40 grand, which is a lot of money. But at the same time, I'm like, is there anybody of color in that room judging these podcasts except for white people? Like, okay, so no. So you're not going to get my point. No one's going to get my point. Therefore, you're not going to choose me because nobody in there is my audience. So I have to tell you some story about myself. I'm like, what? I don't know. That's not how any of this works. That's not how I operate, honestly. You can't intuit me through a screen. You just don't. You have to see me. I need an interview in person. Like, that's why, like, every job I've gotten, I've been offered it. If you meet me, it's different than how I talk about myself because I can't talk about myself on paper. It's just really hard, because that's what we're talking about today. We are not ourself. We are not like our bodies. Like, we're more than that. And we know that because, and all of this sounds so basic, because we like live inside of our body. Like, it's just so stupid, but like, of course we're not like ourself. Like, we're like separate, like, duh. No, we literally like are something greater. And so let's talk about the vocal cords. I'm like talking too fast. Sorry. Let's talk about the vocal cords. The vocal cords make sound because they vibrate inside of your larynx. The part inside of your, like, down in your throat or whatever. And I want you just like imagine it. Just imagine, like hum, and then like put your hand on your throat. Like that's your vocal folds inside your larynx. Imagine that being like sound waves. Imagine those sound waves, because you can't see them. So that's the first thing I want you to realize. Like, you're making a sound with your voice. There are sound waves being produced, but they're being produced. They're waving the air. It's disturbing the air around you. It's disturbing the other molecules around you in your environment. But if you put your hand over your vocal cords here, and I'm doing it with you, that's why I can't talk and do it, because I'm like imagining it myself. Anyway, like Squidward's clarinet, the reed on his clarinet, it's the air going across the reed on the clarinet creates just slight vibrations, not huge vibrations, but like enough. Or like if you like try to skip a stone across a pond, you create waves in the pond, like you pass air over your vocal folds and vibrations are created. And those vibrations, because you disturb the air with the vibrations, other people can hear it. Like, we sense it. Like, it changes the pressure of it's so weird. Like, it's so weird because like our ears are fluid. Like, what we hear is like fluid. Everything is water. Anyway, the tighter the vocal cords, the higher the frequency of the waves it creates in the air. Does that make sense? If it doesn't make sense, please email me, host@centersun21.com. But those sound waves traveling through the air also end up reverberating through our body. And that's the point I was trying to make to my patient. It was that, like, even though you're saying something out loud to us, you are also saying that same thing to yourself. And who's to say? If you say you are going to die enough times, why wouldn't your body believe it? There's another article I want to point you to. So that first article about the vocal folds, you can find that at devon.org, DVAUGHN.org. That's my name. Don't wear it out. Just about how the vocal folds work. The Washington Post, very simply on the kids Washington Post page, because I'm like, just explain it to me in plain English. What's going on? And they basically describe that just simply, the body is so lit that just like some air passing over the vocal folds creates a vibration, and the tighter the fold, the higher the note, or the higher the frequency of the wave. Like each like bump in the wave, that's the frequency of it. That happens like in a cycle. That's whatever measurement of whatever cycle that is. That's how many bumps that is inside that cycle is the frequency. And so they're like infinite variations, because there's like infinite space in between. Oh my God. Woof. In between each field perturbation. That's what we're going to be talking about today. because a wave is not a thing. A wave is what something does. You don't wave. You wave to your grandma. You wave your hand. It's not. You don't send a wave to your grand. You know. You don't. A wave. It doesn't hit your grandma in the face. You're just waving your hand over and motioning your hand. You know. You see how it's like a thing. It's not a thing. It's a thing. You know. Whatever. So nature is another journal. We're gonna move on because I'm confusing myself. So my question to my patient was, you know, who's to say that you're not also telling your body to die? And why wouldn't your body believe you when you told it that? If you said, "Oh fuck, run, there's a tiger," and your adrenaline kicks up, you know, like why wouldn't your body believe you when you tell it things? Yeah. So there is another article I want to point you to, and it demonstrates how the brain encodes vibrations from the environment. Oh my God. So not only does your body believe you, it also believes its environment too. Because your body is nothing more than it's just collecting data. So science have reported in Nature Journal. What journal was that called? Or what's the thing called? So the title, of the article is called, basically, it doesn't matter where the vibration is coming from. All vibrations are encoded the same way. Nature Journal has an experiment with observing the brain activity of certain mice. They found that when they send vibrations across the paws of those mice, their brains reacted to some vibrations more than others. Basically, they used a device that allowed them to observe the neurons of these mice, and certain things, you know, created big bumps in frequency, you know, in one of those cycles, and other signals they ignored. Basically, this experiment found that some neurons are tuned even to pick up certain specific signals, and when they began playing with the audible sound of that frequency and the vibration and or the feeling of that sound through a medium like a liquid or some other kind of like insulation thing or like a piece of wood or something, they played the sound through a medium like the ground, the mice perceived the sound and the vibration different, or it did not perceive it differently. It picked it up the same way, even though it heard it in one ear, felt the same frequency, because it's like you can hear your voice and then you could put your hand over your voice and you could also feel your voice through your hand. It doesn't matter. A vibration is a vibration is a vibration, girl. A wave is a wave. Like a field perturbation is a field perturbation. Whether you heard the sound or just felt the wave, your brain encoded the same data. Your brain fucking knows. Like, this is fucking crazy shit. You don't have 5 senses when it comes to vibrations. You got 1 sense, and that's sense. You sense that shit. And you have certain organs. You have organs. So mice, which, you know, they have some organs. We basically have the same organs, but they're just miniature. Mice have certain organs that pick up these vibrations on their paws. So we have the same organs, but ours are attached to our bones. Isn't that cray cray? It is cray cray. And I always get excited when I learn something new. Like, that's why I'm taking long pauses, because it's like clicking for me too as I read it off the script. But the excitement, it quickly dissipates sometimes, because I start realizing that we've been lied to our entire lives. This is crazy. And Christianity would have you think that you are a piece of fucking shit. That's why I don't listen to gospel music no more anyway. Because oh fucking Lord, I am wretched, Lord. I'm a sinner, Lord. And I don't have any outlook on my future, Lord. Oh, woe is me. Glory, glory. But Jesus, you're a fucking antenna. That's the point I want to make today. You respond to signals from your environment because you're supposed to feel them. Your brain is constantly collecting data, and you have organs on the end of your arms and your feet and legs that helps you collect that data. You are a system through which electricity flows. Literally. You are a system through which power flows. You are a system in which your energy is always potential. Like potential energy, like we're not playing a dice game of chance. No, like literally you have stored energy because of the signal you are receiving. Look here, honey. That stinky dude in the back of summer school in high school, he always said that you wouldn't use this math, you wouldn't use this algebra, it don't matter, this shit don't fucking matter. He was right. He was the fuck right because besides learning how to critically think, most of that shit we learned back then was fucking nonsense. I'm learning today. Like, I'm kind of pissed. And at my big age of 30, I'm really pissed off. Like, when I think about all the untangling and unlearning I have to do inside of my precious little brain, I have a full-time job too. I have to think about more than just the universe, god damn it. All these stale ass, backwards ass, toxic ass, radioactive ass ideas rolling around have done nothing but make sure that I question everything I know to actually be fucking true. Who am I? What's my purpose? When I wake up in the morning, what mechanism ensures that I do so every day at the same time? Why do I feel a chill down my spine when I feel happy? Why do I get goosebumps when I feel scared or cold, like right now? Am I interpreting a signal from my environment, much like an elephant can hear and feel danger galloping through the ground and above the ground? How do I feel like I'm the only one coming to this realization right now? There are real implications to realizing who you are. What is our reality? Is there other evidence of electricity as an explanation in nature? Because I'm like, it seems like a unifying theory that is not being used to unify anything but spectrums bill every fucking month in my goddamn email box. Well, yes, there is evidence of electricity as a unifying theory in nature. And what is funny? What's so effing funny, because on Center of the Sun, we value access to information. So information will always be free on Center of the Sun. When it's not free, it's colloidal silver. But information will always be accessible on Center of the Sun. I'm going to try to even fucking make my photos on Twitter accessible to blind people, but it's just hard. Or deaf or whoever. I don't know. First of all, yeah, because deaf people need to watch a video too. Anyway, first of all this evidence is in front of our face, and everything that I'm talking about can be verified through the federal government of the United States of America. This is what's pissing me off, okay? So everything is verifiable through the body of government that taught us the lies in the first place. So, first of all, we have two poles on our planet. You know, South Pole, North Pole, the poles, the pole where Santa comes from, because of that, our planet is magnetic. We know there's an electromagnetic field around the planet, and by focusing electricity, by grounding certain signals on our planet, we have been able to power our homes and our computers and our cars and all those things, and we've created this whole reality for ourselves around electricity. Moving farther into space, You've heard the theory that space is also expanding. So we are looking at the planets and everything looks like it's moving farther away, like light is moving. And the furthest away we can see is the oldest light from the Big Bang. And therefore, it must be expanding. And after the Big Bang, this is also another article that I have on my blog, scientists believe that space was immediately really, really hot and really, really dense, meaning that like there was a bunch of shit in a small space. And it was so hot and so dense that everything must have been glowing. Of course, duh, fire, light, photons, or whatever the fuck they call them. Because of these waves of light, and because they were so hot and so dense, they must be also extending into infinity, into the universe, just shooting ever into the darkness. And intuitively, it kind of is like, okay, girl, yeah, thanks for sharing, but like, we don't even know what that means, girl. Like, what, huh? And from that same rule of thought, we came up with some like wild ass assumptions about light. And because no one really questions scientists, really, because we have this, it's all convoluted and shit. That's why Center of the Sun is here. We're asking questions now, bitch. Because what you saying, it don't even add up in your math. Like what? You got all these necklaces. The wrong assumptions are being made about light. We already know to this day that we're like, yeah, a light is a wave and a particle. Bitch, it's neither. Bitch. It's neither a wave because it's a wave is not a thing, bitch. And it's not a particle because we can't fucking observe it. And that don't make no fucking sense. There's this man on YouTube that I'm going to talk about later. He's like, if light was a photon, then why can't you open up your camera and release the photons? If there's these little particles of stuff, then wouldn't there be a pile of them somewhere? Well, that's another assumption that we've made, and we just keep letting it run. Light is not a wave, and light is not a particle. Light is neither. And a worse assumption than that is that we've actually observed light as either of those forms or in any way. On YouTube, there's a very smart man. His name is Kenneth Wheeler. And he is convinced, he just yells on camera. He is convinced that nothing about modern science is true. And not only is it completely false, is that it's a cult. Like a death cult. Like it's a serious cult. And this man asserts that he asserts on his YouTube channel that Nikola Tesla actually was a scientist that was closer to the truth about the nature of the universe than anybody like Albert Einstein, who says waves, space-time, speed of light, like all of these things are fake. And not only, and I'm want to say like allegedly or like I believe, no, they're literally not even based in reality. They're all wrong. And I'm like, wait, Albert Einstein was completely fucking wrong? Like he wasn't right at all? Well, Wheeler explains this on his YouTube channel. And he actually makes perfect fucking sense because he explains it with like real experiments, like we could observe shit. And he asserts that light is merely a byproduct of electricity moving through ether. So, ether theory has not been proven because we've been trying to prove quantum mechanics instead, which we know for a fact cannot exist because we're making up math. Albert Einstein made up all that shit. And because I have no formal background in electrical engineering, I have no idea what the fuck he's talking about. I don't know what the fuck anybody's talking about. So that's why I have to go to Washington Post Kids and be like, okay, well, just dumb it down for me real quick so I can at least get the foundation. But I'm actually not concerned with the science and the math itself. I'm most concerned with the assertion that no human has ever observed light. No scientist has ever observed a particle of any kind. We accept atoms and particle theory and atom theory and all these kind of things as truth of our planet. Why do we have atoms and protons and gluons and neutrons and electrons? Why are those ideas forced on us as truth? They even say, scientists in science class, that 99% of an atom is empty space. No, bitch. It's really a field. It's like when you try, it's like when you see these companies on TV trying to introduce us to like a new antidepressant, and they claim that like they have no idea how like anything works. So, but we just know that like if you take this pill, like it changes the chemistry of your brain. No, you've taken the pharmaceutical company's word that they don't know what they're talking about, but that they know enough. That's science. I've swallowed a few of those pills. Because I love my antidepressant actually. And I actually believe that they know how they work. They just can't tell us because it would shatter everything. And I feel abnormal because the shit is abnormal. Like I needed antidepressant because I feel abnormal. My antidepressant makes me feel normal. But I feel abnormal because I can't trust anything, because I feel like it feels weird. And it's moments like this where I'm like, I'm not wrong though. And neither is Wheeler. Wheeler is right. No human has observed light. No human has actually observed anything we accept as truth. Oh, the earth is a globe. Okay. Show me. You can't. Okay. Well, there's satellite. No, show me. Show me. I don't care if a satellite can see. Show us. Without rendering the picture. Oh, you cannot. Okay. So show me the ocean. Oh, it's too dense. We can't go down there. Okay, fine. Show me the inside of the earth. Oh, we can only penetrate like 1/1,000,000th of a fraction of the crust of the earth because it's so dense and so heavy, and so we can't get down there. Oh, shit. Show me anything. Tell me how antidepressants work. Oh, we can't. No, it's elusive. So how do we pick up the pieces? Because I actually don't give a fuck at this point. Because I'm like, oh, so anything that's actually true, I have to actually find myself and then like sift through the bullshit and then like tell somebody, because I'm a verbal processor, so I have to talk about it. That's another reason why I have a podcast. It's because no one likes to talk. So therefore I have to talk to you. How do we pick up the pieces and move forward with understanding how you and I are even the fuck alive? What is our purpose? And how do we go about fulfilling that purpose? Well, I think understanding how the soul works is a great place to start. Because, well, here it is. The soul is a signal. And in its entirety, it is completely trapped inside the physical form. We manifest our soul's purpose, and when I say our, I don't mean my individual soul, but I mean the soul, the collective soul. We manifest soul's purpose through individual personalities. And this personality, or these personalities, reveal themselves only through an iterative process. And that iterative process is called consciousness. Like learning, like that's why like it feels good to learn something. And right off the bat, I have hella questions. I'm like, yeah, let's deconstruct this whole idea of consciousness. Like, what is consciousness? Science cannot understand what consciousness is because it can't. Because the moment we figure out what consciousness is, it dismantles our whole shit. But first off, by what or by whom is broadcasting this signal? So, in a nutshell, consciousness is a signal. Spirit, soul, that's the spirit, that's the soul. Like we make it seem it is supernatural. Well, it's not supernatural because it's like a part. It's like it's one and the same with nature, so it can't be like above nature. But it's like super dimensional. Like maybe that's the dimension. Is like if we could see the actual waves coming into our body, maybe that's the dimension. But we're not supposed to. Like, what's the fun of doing that? Like the soul uploads to our consciousness or uploads to our body and manifests itself through this process of consciousness. It's a process. You learn over time. A child needs a parent so that it can start its process. That's why, like, we need each other to like protect its. Okay, anyway. So let me go in order here. Let me go in order because it is confusing. So by what or by whom is the signal broadcasted? And in order to understand that, we have to think about magnetism because we don't know the source of the power, but we know that there is a frequency, there is a vibration. We know that that is what's going on. So we have to think about magnetism. So I want to ask you a question. Who invented the radio? Who invented the fluorescent light bulb? Well, in addition to other inventions, Nikola Tesla. And fucking PBS. I was on PBS the other day, like freaking out, like, wait, what? Like Nikola Tesla did what? He has a whole fucking section about his inventions. They're actually really cool. Americans actually did not invent shit. American white men didn't invent nothing. Actually, I'm not even sure white men have even done anything to benefit humankind. Honestly, at this conjuncture, I'm like, wow, like you don't even let like semi-white people take credit for stuff. But we're about to dismantle all their shit. That's why they have to remain in power. That's why they have to like clamor for power because they don't have anything to stand on. You don't own anything. You've stolen every fucking thing. Like, and that's why I'm not even gonna say it. Anyway, we're about to dismantle their lies, and I'm seeing it happen in front of our face on TV and everything. Magnets, as we know, create a field around them. Why am I yawning? I'm yawning because I'm like working myself up. Excuse me. Magnets, as we know, create a field around them, and you can feel it when you get close to this. Get close to one. And if you put two magnets together that are like the wrong sides are together, like they oppose each other, like it's like this little you can like feel the like the opposition that a magnetic field creates. Well, apparently this is how all of nature works, and depending on the size of the body that is, you know, so basically, if there are particles, there's one particle. There's not millions of different kinds there aren't protons and electrons and stuff. There's just one proton, I guess. One positively charged particle that everything is made out of. And the fields that those particles creates vary, and therefore that's then what we're seeing, what we're sensing with our eyes is the byproduct of the fields interacting with each other. So whenever I can't explain it, but this magnetic field is also emanating around you, okay? And so we know that everything is a vibration, right? Everything is a frequency. Everything is a vibration, is a signal. And if that's true, then everything also must have a field around it. That interaction between fields creates light. Just like when you stand in the sun and the sun casts a shadow because you're standing in between the sun and the ground, and it casts a shadow on the ground of your body. That shadow is not a thing, but it's merely a byproduct of light or you disturbing that field. Does that make sense? Like, bitch, I can't. Our world is crashing down in a good way, and I'm just trying to just understand it. I don't care what the truth is, per se. I just want to know what the truth is. You know, like, I don't care what it is, but just, like, tell me what it is, though. Just give it to me straight. No chaser. Facts. No printer. Like, come on. So, let's think back to the Big Bang. Scientists cannot prove that we are not in the center of the universe. That's the thing about the Big Bang. That's the one thing about the Big Bang, is that, like, it started somewhere. So, like, where did it start? And where are we in relation to that origin point? We can't prove that we were not the origin point. Do you know why? Open your Googles. Type this in: background microwave radiation. We've actually proven that there are equal poles. We are in the middle of two poles in our universe, just like the planets and just like magnets and just like us, male and female. You know, there's dualities. These dualities also exist in nature, and it is kind of freaky because it kind of creates a cosmic egg, which supports the flat Earth theory. I'm like, how did we just prove flat Earth? Like, what? How did we just prove cosmic egg, which therefore gives us more evidence in support of flat Earth, and not flat Earth as we know it from B.O.B. Like flat Earth, like as like through the tetragrammatron and stuff. Like, the nature of the planet is different than what we're being told, and we're given evidence like every day of like that this like globe, we're spinning in space in a globe and we're around the sun. No, bitch. Where's the data? Like, there ain't no picture, there ain't no measurement, there ain't nothing that you can show me, because there isn't one. All we have is the word of the government, and their word is they're contradicting themselves. Google background microwave radiation and see the shape that it makes around us. We can see it in equal distances. We can actually we have more proof that we're the center of the universe than the sun or any other body. Do you see the pattern? The pattern is not the shape of the earth. It's the fact that all of this information is verifiable, but it contradicts the things that we've been actually told to be true. So it's like no one's hiding it from us, but they're just making it harder to find. So the point I'm trying to make is that we are nothing more than a fraction of nature. And what we observe in our bodies can also be observed in our environment and in the universe at large. So on center of the sun, the soul is the total signal. Is like the consciousness that's being is a signal that's being broadcast. And our bodies, each DNA strand tunes that body to pick up a specific signal. And through that signal, your personality is manifested. But your personality is manifested through an iterative process. So it has to learn, it has to go through certain things in order to come out a certain kind of way. So the voice in your head might actually be a fucking voice coming from somewhere. And we all share that voice, but our tune is different. I pick up a A and you pick up a B. And that signal is conscious though. It's like it has a purpose. And it wants to interact with the physical plane, so it starts to learn as a kid. The other humans around it must provide protection and sustenance so that soul can learn how to create and manifest on this plane. The soul tunes to the body and uses the hands to create. Like when I close my eyes and meditate and look into my chakra, I see my own hands. And right now, we forget the role of the soul. The role of the soul is to do yo bo. No, I don't even know what I just said. But we're worshiping our physical bodies We're worshiping our physical body to the point that we forget we're in an iterative process. Like you must keep learning. So what does that process look like, honey? Well, it's all about signal flow. How do you know if you're out of flow? Like, is the signal coming from the universe flowing through your body in the proper way? Well, the chakras are the centers through which your signals flow. The first step is to identify with the soul. You're part of a larger whole, okay? So it's up to you to figure out that you're part of like a kingdom. You're part of a larger whole, like you're part of something much greater. You're not yourself. You're not yourself. Who are you? During the second step of this process, this iterative process of finding the soul, of becoming your best self, you will also start to think of yourself as the ego, as the one thinking, or the one in control of the physical body, but you're not, because lastly, you will realize that you're not an angel, you're not a man, you're not a this, you're not a that, but you're an essence, you're a spirit, you're a signal being broadcast across the microwave radiation in the background of the universe that we call background microwave radiation, but it's actually the signal of the soul. And the purpose of the soul seems to be movement. From what we can gather, because we don't understand, because we're in the process of remembering we're becoming conscious. It's an iterative process. But what we do know is that it seems to be, movement seems to be very valid. Like the universe is expanding, like that's the movement. We should always be expanding. That's where the signal is just going. It's just moving. So we should try to move with it. And there are always new conditions through which you must find your way. What's his face? Savan Bomar, the founder of secretenergy.com. Also, you can find my affiliate link on devon.org, dvaughn.org. He said that, the process is entirely and extremely slow, and some people don't even get to learn how to breathe the golden breath or whatever it is. And I feel bad for people that can't figure out how to connect with their soul, because I feel tuned in. I really do, and I always have. And which is probably why I've always felt different. And if you feel like that, you must just be tuned in. You must be tuned into this larger context. But you don't have the context. You must be tuned into this larger whole without context. So I'm going to give you a little bit of context, okay? And we're going to conclude here. We know that light simply illuminates. We have not observed it. We have not done anything to make it easier for us to understand what light is. But we also know that we have observed patterns in space that support field theory, or the fact that everything is a vibration, or that everything has magnetism or is an electrical signal to some degree. Light, which illuminates, but we have never actually observed, is a byproduct of disturbances in electromagnetic fields observed by modern scientists. We just haven't connected the dots or whatever the fuck we were doing. In essence, we can create light by transferring electricity from our brain to other brains. We can illuminate others by educating them and transferring signals between each other. Earlier, I said that humans should think of themselves as an antenna. Well, I guess I was wrong, and we need to start considering ourselves as more than antenna and even as a complex system of communication. Tell me what you think. Tell me if you like this, if you liked this episode, or if you hated it, that's fine too. Email me, host@centralsun21.com. You can also visit my blog for access to all the natural remedies you need to create a better flow in your physical body at devon.org. That is DVAUGHN.org. Thank you for listening. Take care.